All right, you guys, I want to do a reading on Eloni's birth chart. So he has a pretty interesting chart. I mean, he's a Cancer rising and he also has a sun in Cancer. So for me, it's like he is a very self oriented person because, again, the first house is the house of Aries. So anytime someone has planets occupying the first house, it is going to be very much so about themselves. Like they are self focused and self concerned. And I mean, I'm an Aries. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but it can create a lot of ego centric energy. His Venus is in Gemini, which I have my own personal opinion on Venus and Geminis. I love them as friends, as romantic people, not so much. And I don't know how many kids he has, but I know it's like over 10. And so Venus and Gemini doesn't tend to be, I would say, someone who's the most traditional. I don't want to say they're not loyal because there's always going to be that one Venus and Gemini that's like, no, I'm so loyal. But I think it depends on other things. The other reason why I say that he's not really that loyal, Venus in Gemini is in his 12th house. It's funny because Trump also has this in his natal chart. He has Venus in the 12th house. It's in a different sign, of course. But this always tells me like clandestine relationships. Like this is like such a cheater aspect in the natal chart to me, because it's like they like to do things behind the scenes, especially emotionally, and their aesthetic is very much like wah, ha, 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 behind the scenes, secretive affairs. Yeah, I'm pretty grateful I don't have this placement, to be honest. And another thing that he has, just like Trump, which I think is so funny, he has Saturn in the 12th house. So when people have Saturn in the 12th house, you better be careful what secrets you have. And you also better be careful who you share your secrets with. And I think it was a philosophy teacher that one time told me, they're like, the only way to keep a secret of between three people is if two of them are unalived. And I was like, oh, that's okay. But it's kind of true because, like, it's hard for people to keep secrets sometimes. So when Saturn, which is a malefic planet, meaning it's not like a pleasant, uplifting planet, is occupying the 12th house natally, to me, that means there are a lot of secret enemies around you at all times. And you really have to watch your back because most people are not for you. Now, obviously, Elani is extremely smart. Like, I mean, he has Uranus in the fourth house. So he definitely grew up in like a weird environment. I have no idea what his upbringing was like, but I also have this placement, and it can be like a natal aspect of where your home life is just like weird. Like, you just have weird dynamics in your home life. Maybe your parents are just really radical, or you just like have a lot of like instability and nervous tension because of that Uranus placement. I mean, he has a Virgo moon, so if you have a Virgo moon or you know anyone that has a Virgo moon, like they're really hard on themselves. They're very critical. They're very perfectionist oriented. This is like a definite tall tale energy of like OCD. Like I mean, I know he's like the richest man in the world, but I'm sure at one time in his life he definitely rage cleaned. The other thing that's interesting is he has Chiron in the 10th house, and actually Kamala has this placement as well. I actually have this placement too. So a lot of times when Chiron's in the 10th house, it can really struggle with like you being your authentic self. Like it's almost like you have like a lot of restrictions around you where people either doubt you, or they either love you or they hate you, or there's a lot of indifference here in our career with Chiron in the 10th house. That's where our wounding is. So when Chiron is in the 10th house, it tells me like this person can go to the top, but it's not going to be easy. And there is going to be a lot of pain and suffering in deciding who you're going to be in this world. He does have Neptune transiting the sixth house, and that doesn't automatically mean that someone's going to have health issues. I actually feel like Uranus and Chiron onset health issues in transits, and we're talking about his natal chart right now. But he could have like nervous tension because the sixth house is the house of Virgo, and Neptune is like diseases that we're not really like we can't figure out. It's like kind of like benevolent health ailments. So I don't know this man, so I'm just reading what I see, but like it does feel like he does have this kind of like there could be like mental health stuff going on. I think the biggest indicator of the success that he's had, his Pluto links nicely with his Neptune and Saturn. So there is like a far reaching vision. He also does have Mars in Aquarius and the North Node in Aquarius. And so, like, he definitely is like beyond his time. Like, he's very smart. I feel like he's kind of socially weird though. Like, I mean, again, like, I don't know this guy. Like, just his vibe, like, and looking at his chart, like, I feel like he struggles to really, like, connect in a normal way with people. Pluto in the third house in Virgo. And so when he speaks, people listen. Like, he has that kind of speech pattern that even though people may not like it or understand it, like, they listen. So he's very powerful in his the way that he speaks. And with it being in Virgo, I could see him being just a very critical and like always looking for the faults and things. Like, he's very he's kind of a know-it-all. Again, as Mars is in Aquarius, so I mean, that's definitely anything in Aquarius is going to be like, wow, this person is extremely academically achievement oriented and smart, but smart beyond this time and place. The thing that also stood out lastly of his natal chart is he does have his North Node in the eighth house. This is a house of like acquiring other people's money, like money, success, power. That is his life lesson. And in Aquarius, he's not going to do it the way that most people would do it, like, work a 9 to 5 or, build a business and, get to, enjoy those benefits. He's doing it in such an extreme manner. And in the eighth house, it's really like you're going to create your own empire through the assistance of other people. Dun, da, da, da. So moving on to his transits, I wanted to look at, because, I am an investigator, and I was like, oh, well, Saturn moves direct on the 15th, and I know everybody's like, what the hell is going on? So Saturn, the planet of discipline, hard-learned lessons, reality checks, it's also the taskmaster. And on the 15th, when Saturn moves direct after a long retrograde, he has Sun squaring Mars and Moon squaring Mars. Like, I hate when this shit's in my transits, meaning my horoscope, because I just know I'm going to have a very annoying, agitating interaction with someone, because, like, anytime Mars is involved, like, you always have to guarantee that there is going to be pushback, and there's going to be that energy of like wanting to go head to head. So on the 15th, I do, or the days around it, because sometimes it's not always the day of the transit. Like, I feel like sometimes it can be a couple days after or before, but there's going to be tests from enemies here. And like, there's a lot of people that'll be challenging Elon or Eloni. That's my name for him. So people are going to be challenging him. They're irritable towards him. The Moon square Mars, it's like he's going to need to face the reality of shit, and there's a very strong potential for accidents and temper tantrums. When I look at his long-term transits, he does have some good ones, but the ones that stood out most to me that were very precise, he has Neptune opposing Pluto, which is in a forming transit, meaning like it's coming to that point where it's like almost exact. So the more that he cheats, the further away he gets from his goals. And that's going to be exact on December 7th of this year. There's a fading aspect of Pluto squaring his midheaven. And so there is like this determination here. And it is fading though. So I'm not saying that it's not still applying, but it's just not as strong as the forming Neptune opposing Pluto. The other thing I want to say too is Saturn is in a semi-square to his midheaven, which is like difficult questions coming up to the forefront and difficulties with his work and home life. Saturn direct is going to be in his ninth house, which is the house of legal matters and like our viewpoint of the grander vision of the world. His Saturn is at 12 degrees and it's going to almost directly oppose his Virgo moon. And the seventh house is our house of partnerships, but it's also people that openly oppose us, our enemies, but they're open enemies. This 12-degree direct Saturn is also near his Mercury, Uranus, and Chiron. So his home life is definitely going to suffer. I feel like there's a karmic change of a direction is advised for him. So I guess we shall see, but this is what I'm seeing for him.